You're listening to 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr. Chris Radio of Horror program. And tonight on Radio of Horror, if you're not catching this on Radio Free America, hopefully you're catching this on our Radio of Horror YouTube channel and a little bit of a slideshow with pictures of the director, producer, writer's work. With what he has done while you're listening to this, we have writer, director, producer Adam Rifkin on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Adam, you are the director of a movie called Director's Cut, which is usually something you add to a tagline of a film.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, in this particular instance, the name of the film is Director's Cut.
And it stars Penn and Teller, too, which is fantastic.
It stars Penn and Teller, but not as Penn and Teller.
No, correct. Yeah.
Penn wrote it and is in it, and Teller is in it as well. But it is not an official Penn and Teller project, which is why Teller is able to speak in it, which, as you may recall, he does quite a bit.
Now, what's funny is, so this movie hit May 29th or June 5th. Was this before or after the episode of The Big Bang Theory for the season finale where he actually talks in that as well?
Teller will act in things and talk. Know that, but he has done that a bunch in the past. It's not like we're the first project where he speaks, but we may be the first project that he speaks that also includes Penn.
He only had one line. He only had one word, by the way, in that episode of The Big Bang Theory. He leans over and says, "Thank you," very very softly after Penny tells off his wife, played by Kathy Bates.
Oh, great, perfect.
Now,
funny.
The plot of your movie. Do you feel like it's like something that almost any filmmaker can kind of relate to, being about like a disgruntled crowdfunder?
Well, I don't know if every filmmaker can relate to it because so few films have been crowdfunded.
Sorry,
more now these days.
I meant independent filmmaker. I'm sorry.
Probably, I'll just say, people, when you're making independent films, you try to get the money any which way you can because even a small movie is expensive. So if it's not a rich uncle or somehow you connect to some sort of film fund, you have to gather the money somehow, and crowdfunding is just a relatively new way of pursuing financing for independent films. So, by the way, which is fabulous because it's so hard to get movies made, any new alternative sources of funding are welcome. But unlike a rich uncle, who you only really have to deal with your rich uncle when you're making the film, or unlike a film fund, which you may have to deal with 5 or 10 people, when you're crowdfunding a film, you've basically got, well, in our film in particular, we had almost 6,000 crowdfunders. So we had a lot of people who were our partners on the project. So it was kind of like, I guess it's kind of like when a company is public and you sell stocks, shares of stock to the public. Everybody's involved in the company, so everybody gets a say to some degree. That's not actually true because we were left completely alone creatively. That said, everybody was welcomed to voice their ideas, their concerns, their opinions, and we listened to everybody. And sometimes crowdfunders had great ideas, and we used them in the movie, and they made the movie much better. And sometimes some of the crowdfunders had some kooky ideas, and we ignored them. But it's just very, very interesting being partnered with that many people on a movie. It was a new experience for me.
Do you think if you don't have a super big following or a massive support system behind you, you're not going to get your film crowdfunded?
Well, based on what I learned from our crowdfunding experience, I don't know how you would do it without one. And believe me, I don't feel that I have one. It's Penn Jillette that has one. I mean, right. Penn Jillette has 2.5 million Twitter followers, maybe. He's got a weekly podcast with hundreds of thousands of listeners. He's famous for being Penn of Penn and Teller. He performs in Vegas every night with Penn and Teller. I mean, he's on talk shows. He's on game shows. They have Penn and Teller Fool Us. I mean, he is a very public figure. And even with that, even though our crowdfunding campaign was successful, it was not easy. I mean, we had to work the crowdfunding campaign all day, every day, Penn had to work it all day, every day. I mean, really, really worked it hard. So if you have a very small Twitter following, if you don't have access to the media, it would sure be challenging. I'm not saying that it's not doable. Obviously, it's been done, but it would sure be challenging.
I've had, I have tried to crowdfund a movie, and I got $800 out of $10,000 funded. So you
Yeah.
can see it was not successful. I've
Yeah.
had so many people repeatedly tell me that so the project eventually went from being a movie to a comic book. It's a unique take on a famous vampire tale.
Hmm.
And I've had more than one person, maybe not like hundreds of people, but like I've had several people tell me, "Why don't you crowdfund it? Oh, it's so easy for the comic book. If you care about your project, you should crowdfund it. You should really consider crowdfunding it. Oh, I have a lot of followers. If they will crowdfund it for you." And I'm like, yeah, but you're not the one behind the book, other than like a picture on a page. I don't think it's going to happen quite the way you think it is. And I've had like a couple publishers be like, "Oh, well, you're just not really into your own project then. You don't care about trying to get your thing done." This really kind of piss poor attitude just doesn't make you want to work with them anyway.
Well, I don't think people really understand what goes into crowdfunding. They read stories online about films or projects, books, or inventions that are crowdfunded successfully. Seems like it should be easy, but believe me, it's not. Running a crowdfunding campaign is no different than running for mayor. I mean, it is a genuine campaign. You have to campaign for that project a lot. You have to do it in a way that gets the word out there, that gets people motivated to want to be a part of it. You need some sort of reach. You need that project to have some sort of something that attracts people to it, that's going to make them want to do the work of investing money and investing time and learning more about it. And it's really it's not an easy project. And a lot of celebrities have tried crowdfunding campaigns and have not been successful because they think, "Oh, I've got 30 million Twitter followers. I just need to tweet this out 2 or 3 times and my project will be funded." It does not work that way.
No.
You have to work it all day, every day, which is what Penn did. And Penn is not like most celebrities. Penn works really hard at that exact kind of thing. So he was the perfect partner to be crowdfunding a project with, because he was online all day, every day. He was doing interviews all day, every day. He was doing appearances all day, every day. He was asking all his celebrity friends to help with endorsement videos all day, every day. And this was for the entire duration of our campaign, which was, I guess, a couple of months. And again, we were still worried every step of the way we weren't going to get all the money we needed. Ultimately, we got a little more than we were asking for, which was great.
Now,
but it was not easy.
Did some of the other people involved like help you as well? Like Lynn Shay you have in the film, and Gilbert Godfrey.
Lynn Shay did it as a favor, because she's a friend. She did a video for us asking people to help. The hook of our campaign was, Penn Jillette is a nice guy, but his fantasy is to be a bad guy in a movie. Help make Penn bad. So a bunch of celebrities who were friends of Penn's, and some of them who were friends of mine, they did little videos saying to their fans, "Please help make Penn bad." And they all did it just to be nice. And so Lynn Shay did it just to be nice originally, because I asked her to, and she was not cast in the film yet. But when we actually got the movie going, just not because she did that video, and she did not have that role going into the crowdfunding campaign, but I called her up and I said, "Would you mind playing a role in the movie?" And she said yes. Gilbert Godfrey did it. He did some celebrity endorsement videos for us, but Penn wrote the role that he plays for Gilbert. So he was involved from the beginning. But then there were a lot of people who helped us who weren't in the movie, who didn't have anything to do with the movie. It was just nice of them to help out. Like Ben Stiller did a endorsement video for us, and Tom Bergeron, and just a whole bunch of other celebrities.
I can't tell which poster I love more, by the way. I don't know if it's the one where Penn is like at the top of it and he's like, larger than life, or the more blue poster which has like all of the red writing all over it, which looks like something like the Joker would do.
Well, the concept of the two posters is the one that has his scribbles all over it is the poster he actually made, where he took the poster of the movie within the movie and he retrofitted it to be the poster he thought it should be. And then the other poster, which is the current theatrical release poster, is the poster of his dreams. That's the poster that he imagines should have been the poster for the movie.
With getting films made, sometimes you always have to question, it's just like, how the hell did The Room get made? Then you find out he apparently funded that himself, and it's like, really? Must be incredibly rich to come up with $6 million just like that out of his back pocket.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to get, like I said, any movie made. And when Penn and I first decided to team up on this movie together, we pretty quickly realized this is going to be a next to impossible movie to get funded. So it was Penn who originally suggested we try crowdfunding it. He said, look, I have a large reach. I have a lot of Twitter followers. Let's try it. And if it doesn't work, I'll take the hit. If anybody's embarrassed, if it doesn't work, it'll be me. So we agreed to go forward. And like I said, luckily it worked.
The big film that I was a big fan of yours was Detroit Rock City back in 1999. Absolutely one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Thank you.
I love that film, and anyone who's never seen that movie, I absolutely show that to them. And the one thing that really hooked me on it was you got that the studio review, the poster artwork, the DVD, Blu-ray, cover artwork is by that famous artist. What's his name?
Phil Roberts did the actual artwork.
Yes, exactly. Very famous for doing like large crowd pieces with like big heads and stuff.
Yeah.
And then making it incredibly detailed in the way he does it.
Yeah. Well, the story behind the poster was that New Line Cinema, their poster concepts were all very much in the style. At the time, there was a popular poster style that was the ripoff of the Scream style. Do you remember that poster?
The floating heads one, or the poster with the guys?
It's just like young people sort of like hanging out in the frame, looking into the camera. A lot of teen movies were using that style of poster, where they're just all. It almost looked like a poster you'd see for a television show on the WB or the CW instead of for a movie.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's what all of their concepts were looking like. It was just the kids from the movie, sort of posed, sort of coming in from the side of the frame, looking into the camera, kind of cool or smoldery. And I suggested that we do a poster the way poster. If the movie was set in 1978, let's imagine what the movie poster would have been like if the movie came out in 1978. And so if you look at movies like Rock and Roll High School or Animal House, those illustrated cartoon posters of just huge crowds, which are inspired by an artist named Jack Davis, who's famous for doing artwork for Mad Magazine. And he did a bunch of movie posters back in the day of the exact same style. Like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. It was a famous movie poster he painted where there's just thousands of people running.
Right. That's what I was thinking of.
I said to New Line Cinema, if you, and by the way, the boss, the PR team at New Line Cinema kiboshed my idea. They didn't like it at all. They said that's out of date. We need to do a poster that's in keeping with what's popular today. I said to one of the other people in the marketing department, one of the lower level people, I said, if you were to hire an artist to do the kind of poster I'm describing, who would it be? And she gave me Phil Roberts' number. So I called Phil Roberts. I pitched him the idea for the poster. I paid him myself to paint the poster. And when we were doing the final poster art presentation for the president of the studio, the PR team had all their posters lined up on easels, and I brought in mine. He picked mine. And so that's why the poster is the poster.
It's fantastic. It's the one thing that caught my eye immediately when I saw it at the movie theater, and then I saw it immediately. As soon as it was out. I don't know. It's always been like one of those comedies that is my go-to for just like an absolute great time. You have that amazing music by Kiss and everything. Did you have any changes that you were allowed to make to like the script and everything?
Oh yeah. I mean, as the director, I should say, as a director who writes.
Yes. So you have a writing,
I did the rewriting with Carl Dupre, who wrote the original draft, and we changed it a bunch from what the original draft was. but I did not take a co-writing credit. I was solely credited as director on that movie.
Do you get to do that because you're a Screen Actors writer? Does that work that way? Because you're a Screen Actors writer, you can take a script and be like, I can make some changes to this without having to go through like union stuff and everything else and all sorts of other problems. That
Well, no, you always have to go through the union. I think what you mean is the Writers Guild member, and you always have to go through the proper channels. You know what I mean? But when you're directing the movie, I mean, I've done this when I direct a movie that somebody else wrote, and when I'm the writer of a movie that somebody else directs, it's always done this way too. When a movie's being made, things are changing fast every day, all day, and you just have to roll with the punches. New script pages come out, the night before for the next day's shooting. So I was doing lots of writing just because that's what you do when you're rolling with the punches. Every movie that's being made in some way or another is evolving as it's going. So rewriting occurs. So once you're in the thick of it. I mean, I didn't make it a WGA project for me. I just, as the director, changed things to suit what we needed for the next day, or what we decided we were going to change to fit a new location or whatever.
What was the biggest complication on that particular set, or if any?
The biggest complication.
The biggest, I don't know, just it looks like such a crazy movie because you have like this concert going on. You know what I mean? With all these extras and everything. It looks like hundreds of extras, and of course you have the band Kiss there as well.
We had 10,000 extras for about 2 hours.
Oh my God!
What happened was Kiss was on their reunion tour, which was the most successful tour ever at that point. They were only available to shoot the concert on one day, and they came to Canada, which we were shooting in Toronto. They came there to shoot the concert, and so we put the word out to Kiss fans to come to see a free concert. And we paid for about 500 extras, so we always knew we'd have a group of people that we could rely on. And we hoped that we'd get more to show up to make the big crowd shots look big. So little by little, we started shooting early, and we were shooting with our 500 extras. And little by little, people kept showing up and kept showing up. So at a certain point, we had all the seats filled in this giant stadium. We had 10,000 people. But after about the third or fourth take, once they realized that they were just going to hear the same song performed over and over and over again, within about 2 hours, they were all gone again. So luckily, we got all our big shots when they were there, and then everything else was aimed at the stage.
Was there any particular music involved with that film that you weren't able to get and you had to do something else at the last minute, or did it create any complications? Because it's, in my opinion, one of the best soundtracks to a film.
Thank you. Yes, there is. When we were editing the film, we could not afford any of those songs. I mean, we had the Kiss songs. That was part of the deal Gene Simmons made with the studio.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, but we wanted lots of songs from the era. In the editing process, we used every song we just thought would be cool, knowing we couldn't afford them. But we figured once we do our test screening, after that, and we have to figure out how to nail this all down, we would replace all the songs that we couldn't afford with cheaper songs or original songs. We didn't know what we were going to do, maybe score. The test screening went so well, the president of the studio just said, buy all the songs. So we originally had a $500,000 music budget, which might sound like a lot, but it's actually not. Within one phone call of that occurring, when Bob Shea, the president of New Line, said, buy all the songs, the budget for the music went from $500,000 to $2.5 million. So suddenly, our music supervisors were getting the rights to and paying for all those songs we wanted, except for one. There was one song we could not get the rights to, and that was a song by The Who called Baba O'Reilly. Some people think the name of the song is Teenage Wasteland, but the name of the song is actually Baba O'Reilly. Anyway, that song, we could not get Pete Townsend of The Who to agree to let us have. And they were willing, New Line was willing to pay $100,000, $200,000, $1 million. They were willing to literally pay $1 million for the use of the song.
Oh my God.
I wrote a personal letter to Pete Townsend. They said, the studio said, our last ditch effort is write a personal letter to Pete Townsend about why the song is so meaningful to you in the movie. I wrote him a very heartfelt letter about what the song meant to me and why I felt it was important to include in the movie. We get word back that no matter how much they're willing to spend on the song, we can't have it because Pete Townsend hates Kiss. and that was that.
Oh,
so
no.
so we used the Van Halen song instead, which, by the way, is a great song and it works perfectly in the movie. But the original idea was for that classic Who song.
There's a line in that movie that always stands out to me, that when they're driving along the roads and the disco queen just got thrown out of her car, played by Natasha Lyonne. And one of the guys is like, "This is how horror movies start." He goes, "This is also how pornos start."
Right. I think that line was written probably on the day or the day before, something like that.
I think the big standout role in that movie is definitely by Lynn Shay, who's the overly not angelic, but super duper Catholic mom.
Yeah,
and then
she's great in that.
And then her son later on goes on stage and after like not dealing with her bull crap anymore, and she's like, "I just lost my virginity in the confessional booth."
Right. Yeah, she's fantastic. She took what was basically on paper a very one-dimensional villain role, and she added great dimension and pathos to it, because you saw in just the way she performed the role that she was a very scared mother, and so that's why she was overreacting in all these instances. On paper, she was just a bitch, but once she embodied the role, she brought a lot of humanity to it, which I think made her all the more funny and scary, and I just think it made it work so much better.
Well, hey, Adam, we really appreciate you coming on the show with us. Also, again, a big fan of Wadzilla from Chillerama. Didn't get a chance to talk about it too much, but I'm a huge fan of that segment in the Chillerama little anthology film series.
Thank you.
Very gross film, too. We really look forward to all the success and the future films that you got coming out, and having a chance to check out Director's Cut again very soon. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for directing Detroit Rock City, again, one of my favorite comedies of all time.
I appreciate it, and thank you very much. I had a good time.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Thanks. Bye.